Okay, welcome to the PG Fit 21 Day Detox Challenge. If you weren't able to attend the workshop, we are going to be having a webinar this Monday evening to discuss some of the information in the detox manual. So the 21-day detox is officially going to start tomorrow, which is January 18th, and it'll run through February 7th. If you decide to weigh in on Monday, you will be eligible to enter the challenge and win the $210 gift card. So just before we get started, I want to discuss this disclaimer. The detox is not intended to treat or prevent any diseases, but we have seen people have great results and to be able to overcome some of their illnesses and diseases with this detox program, but it's not intended to cure any illnesses or diseases. So you may have heard this quote before, but let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. About 95 to 97% of all illnesses and diseases in this country are directly correlated to your nutrition. And I want to make sure you understand that, because you can overcome a majority of illnesses and diseases just by focusing on your nutrition. I shared this in the workshop, but if you haven't had a chance, please go to www.worldometers.info, and it actually shows different statistics, but we're looking specifically here at food. If you look at this, this explains how many people are undernourished in the world, how many people are actually overweight. 1.6 billion people are actually considered overweight. About 534 million people are considered obese. This information is as of January 1st, but there's been 13,000 people that have actually died from hunger. We've spent over $205 million just on obesity-related diseases, and then about $81 million just on weight loss programs in the United States. This is a really important statistic, but by the year 2020, approximately 75% of Americans are going to be considered obese. And what obese means is that they're so severely overweight that they have a hard time functioning on a daily basis. Think about that for a second, because in 5 years, 75% of people are just going to have a hard time functioning on a daily basis. This detox program is so important to helping you achieve your health and fitness goals. But it's not just what you do during the 21 days that makes the biggest difference. It's what you do after the 21 days that's going to make the biggest difference. So why detox? Well, since the 1970s, we've introduced over 70,000 toxins and impurities to our environment in the form of chemicals, plastics, metals, and pollutants. The goal isn't necessarily weight loss, but the goal is to improve your health and identify any underlying causes of why you might be overweight. Obviously, some of the goals are to decrease toxicity and inflammation. Weight loss is a side effect, but we want to identify any foods that can cause detox and inflammation. So this is a diet, but the first 3 letters in the word diet spell die, and all diets fail. Diets, everybody sees results on diets because you're manipulating one or more of your macronutrients. But the problem is that it is a temporary solution. And really the whole point of the detox is to educate you on how to make better lifestyle choices. It's what you really do after the detox that's going to make the biggest difference. What is toxicity? Well, toxins can be both external and internal. External toxins can be anything from chemical toxins to heavy metals. And internal toxins can include waste products of bacteria, yeast, and other microbial organisms. But this has a toxic load on your body, and it really comes from our diet and chronic stress in our environment. But toxicity impairs 2 key metabolic organs, and those are the liver and the thyroid. But it damages the mitochondria and harms our brain neurotransmitter and hormonal signals that affect appetite. And we're going to talk about leptin here in a minute. But they obviously increase inflammation and oxidative stress, both which obviously promote weight gain. So what is inflammation? Well, being inflamed makes you fat, and being fat makes you inflamed. Inflammation comes from the sugar we eat, high doses of the wrong types of oils, primarily omega-6 and 9 versus the omega-3, and then hidden food allergies, lack of exercise, chronic stress, hidden infections, and other fat cells. So I want to talk a little bit about autoimmune disorders because, about 24% of Americans are affected with autoimmune disorders, and they include anything from rheumatoid arthritis to lupus to multiple sclerosis, thyroid disease, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, type 1 diabetes, and colitis. But what's important to note is, people develop autoimmune disorders if they have a leaky gut. And what I mean by that is what happens is, about 75% of there is a genetic predisposition, but about 75% of your risk actually comes from environmental factors, and that's your diet, your lifestyle, and then medications, infections, and exposure to toxins, hormones, and weight, and that results in what's called a leaky gut. And you can develop some of these autoimmune disorders as a result of that. So there are three detox organs that are extremely important to talk about, and that we're going to be focusing on during the detox. The first one is the liver. Majority of fat is metabolized in your liver. The second one is the kidneys. The third one is the gut. The kidneys really help filter toxins and excess salts and urea, and the gut houses about 70 to 80% of your immune system. So if your gut is full of unhealthy bacteria, you're going to have a difficult time being able to lose weight. About 500 species and about 3 to 5 pounds of bacteria, both healthy and not so healthy, actually live in the gut. And so it's really important as you detox to make sure that you're replenishing your body with healthy bacteria. So there are physiological and psychological responses. Sugar is a drug. We all have some sort of an addiction to sugar. But the goal is to try to eliminate sugar over the next 21 days and then slowly start adding it back in. But, there's also something really important to also take into consideration, and that's the hedonic value of food. And that's the nutrient-poor, high-sugar, salty, carbohydrate-dense foods, because they alter our pleasure, reward, and emotional pathways in the brain. Wheat also, it binds to our opiate receptors in the brain. So there's these, not only these physiological but psychological responses that happen. But food rich in carbohydrates increases serotonin, or actually releases more serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. And then you have these Franken foods, the high sugar, the high trans fat, the high preservative, unnatural processed foods, which we develop addictions to. The key, though, is to make sure you're stabilizing your blood sugar. I can't emphasize that enough, but really the most important part is to try to stabilize your blood sugar. Glucose, or glycogen, which is your blood sugar, is your body's first choice for fuel. Your blood sugar should be somewhere between 80 and 120 milligrams per deciliter. What happens is if your blood sugar is not stable, if you skip a meal, your blood sugar is going to drop. And when your blood sugar drops, you're going to start burning muscle, you're going to hold on to the fat, your energy is going to crash, and then the cravings will start increasing. And as a result of those cravings increasing, people typically overeat, and they overeat carbohydrates, and then their blood sugar spikes. And when your blood sugar spikes, you start storing fat. So it's this vicious cycle. When your blood sugar is stable, fat is actually released into the bloodstream, it's absorbed by the muscle, and it's used as energy. If your blood sugar is not stable, there's no way for you to be able to efficiently burn body fat. So, we talk about eating in threes. You've got three macronutrients: your protein, your fat, and your carbohydrates. And you really want to think about them in that order, especially during the 21 days. But the goal is to make sure that you're eating a good amount of adequate lean protein. You're getting your fat, and you're also getting your complex carbohydrates. So the detox is really simple. There's 3 steps. The first one is to cut. You want to cut all foods that can cause bloating or inflammation. The second step is clean. You want to add clean foods and supplements to help you cleanse. And the third step is to flush. You want to flush your body of all the toxins and impurities by drinking plenty of water. So there are 3 different levels, and I want to discuss the differences between these 3 levels. So if you've never done a detox program before, we're going to recommend that you start with level 1, which is our beginner level. If you've done a detox before, especially within the last year, we would recommend that you start with the intermediate or level 2 program. And if you've done several detoxes before, or you're actually already following a vegetarian diet, a gluten-free diet, or soy-free diet, you could actually go ahead and start with the advanced or level 3. And the other thing to note is if you have an autoimmune disorder, we want you to start with the advanced or level 3 detox program. And there are several things that you should be excluding depending on which level you decide to do, but we'll talk about that in just a minute, or what you should be excluding overall. So water is one of the most important parts of the detox program. Most people are chronically dehydrated and they don't even know it. Water affects all of your bodily organs and systems. It affects all 101 systems in the human body. The first thing you should do in the morning is make sure that you drink at least 2 to 4 cups of water. That is so important because that is just going to help rehydrate your body and help start flushing any toxins and impurities out of your system. You should drink plenty of water before each meal and in between your meals. So females, you should drink about 2 to 4 liters of water each day. And males, you should drink between 4 and 6 liters of water each day. If you want to know specifically how much water you should be consuming, take your body weight and multiply it by 66%. That'll tell you how many ounces you should be consuming. So vegetarians, if you are a vegetarian, this program has an emphasis on local and humanely raised animal protein sources, but it can be done if you're a current vegetarian. What you'll want to consider is finding a quality hemp or pea protein powder to be able to make sure that you're getting plenty of complete proteins, complete and incomplete proteins. And if you do eat some animal products, you may want to consider eating eggs and fish. And you could rely on those daily if you needed to, but make sure that you're eating various legumes, and you want to make sure you soak those for 24 to 48 hours and boil them for at least 50 minutes to minimize the anti-nutrient and inflammatory compounds. But you want to make sure that you're eating your starchy carbohydrates, such as the sweet potato, the butternut squash, the winter squashes, and then increase your fat intake. So maybe eating a whole avocado instead of just a half, or a quarter cup of olive oil versus that 2 tablespoons on the salad. So meal timing, you want to strive to eat 3 meals a day and avoid snacking if you can. And the only exception to that is if you're engaged in high-intensity interval training. The main objective is to leave about 4 to 5 hours between your meals, and that's important because that helps keep your leptin levels normalized. Leptin is a hormone that actually sends a signal back to your brain that you're full. And one of the goals is to make sure that we stabilize your leptin levels. Each meal should be designed to hold you over until the next one. And that's why you want to make sure that you're eating plenty of fat, because fat helps with satiety. It helps you feel full. And if you're eating enough fat, you won't have the tendency, or you won't feel like you need to eat until about 4 to 5 hours later. So really simple. The goal is not to count calories during the 21 days, but the goal is to really look at your portion sizes. And that's really what you should be doing. So females, your protein a serving of protein is going to be about the palm of your hand, or about 3 ounces. Your carbohydrate is going to be 1 fist, or about 3 ounces, and your fat is going to be about the tip of your thumb, which is between 1 and 2 tablespoons. And then for males, a serving size of protein would be 1.5 to 2 palms, or 5 to upwards of 8 ounces of protein. Carbohydrates, your serving of carbohydrates would be 2 fists, which is about 5 to 6 ounces of carbohydrates. And then fat, it's going to be 1 big thumb. So what to expect? Well, the first 7 days is typically going to be the hardest, unless you've already been eating relatively clean. But you may have some headaches or flu-like symptoms, or fatigue or constipation. That's normal. But after the first 7 days, you should start to see some of those symptoms dissipate. But day 8 through 14 is really when you start feeling better. You should notice that you have more energy and you're able to start sleeping better at night. And then by day 15 through 21, that's when people typically have the most energy. They feel they experience the mental focus and clarity. They're definitely sleeping through the night, and the symptoms that they had when they began start to disappear. But what's really important to note is that really it's about day 14 where people really start having problems following the program, and that's simply because they're not getting enough variety. So I highly encourage you to make sure that you're trying different fruits and vegetables, that you're eating different lean sources of protein. The meal plan that we're going to give you is great, but it's also a really good idea to make sure that you're eating a variety of foods throughout the day. So what to avoid? What do you really need to cut? Well, you need to cut grains, sugar, alcohol, caffeine, legumes, dairy, food additives, and protein powder. So on all 3 levels, those are the things that you need to cut out. It's really that simple. Just stay away from grains and the sugar, and then obviously you're not drinking alcohol or caffeine, but no legumes, dairy, the food additives, and the only exception to the protein powders would be if you're doing the level 1 program. We would recommend that you consume the core protein shake to substitute for one of those meals, or to add in addition to. So what to eat? So what clean food should you be eating? Well, vegetables, fruit, fat, quality protein, beverages we'll talk about in a second, and then seasonings. But you should be consuming about 6 to 8 servings of vegetables, 2 to 3 servings of fruit. Fat is your friend on this program. Typically your fat intake would be somewhere between 25 and 35%, but with these recipes, your fat intake is going to be upwards of 40 to 50%, and that's okay during this program because fat is going to help you remove body fat by acting as a lipotropic transporter and helping remove it out of your system. It's also going to help you feel full, or help with satiety. You want to make sure you're eating quality proteins. Now, obviously, we would just prefer that you drink water during the detox, but if you need herbal teas or green tea, you can use those, especially if you have an addiction to caffeine. Seasonings you do want to be very careful about, but try all fresh and dried whole and ground herbs and spices. And then obviously they should be low sodium. Now, if you're following the level 3 program, we're going to recommend that you try to stay away from seasonings as much as possible. So now what? Well, start filling out the symptom spreadsheet. Once you start the program, it's really important to keep a journal of how you're feeling and what type of side effects you might be experiencing. But after the 21 days, you can either continue with the program, end the program, or start reintroducing foods back into your diet. And we're going to talk about the reintroduction process here in just a second, but it's so important to make sure that you're not just adding everything back in at once you finish the 21-day detox. The reintroduction process is as follows. So day 1, you're going to reintroduce dairy. back into the program. And you would eat 2 to 3 servings of dairy every day for the first 3 days. And then day 4, you would add gluten-containing grains. Day 7, you would add the non-gluten-containing grains. Day 10, you would add the legumes back into your program. And then you can add caffeine and alcohol back in if you feel like you still need it. A lot of our participants have been able to overcome any caffeine and alcohol addictions or cravings going through the detox. But if you are going to consume alcohol, please do it in moderation, and that's going to be 1 to 3 drinks per week. So we're going to talk about supplementation, and supplementation is really important because the USDA stated that less than 1% of all Americans consume all the micronutrients they need on a daily basis. What that means is we all should be supplementing. You would have to eat at least 14 to 16 servings of fruits and vegetables just to get all of the antioxidants you need on a daily basis, and that's referring specifically to the carotenoids and flavonoids. But that's why supplements are so important. And really, a supplement is something you would take in addition to your diet. If you could get everything from a natural food source, we're going to recommend that. But during the 21 days, there are supplements we would recommend. The first is taking a good multivitamin. Now, the problem with supplements in general is they're not regulated by the FDA, so you never know what you're going to get. Look for a product that has a GMP or a USP label. That means that they follow certain practices where the purity, the potency, and the delivery mechanisms are there. But as far as multivitamins, we carry one in our facility that has about an 80% absorption rate. But the most popular ones are going to be GNC or one a day, and those are the ones that actually have a very low absorption rate and have been and there are studies indicating that they actually have harmful metals and toxins in those particular products. So you want to make sure you find a multivitamin that that has a GMP label or that does not have any of those toxins and impurities. We would also recommend some type of an omega complex, whether that's flaxseed oil or omega-3. You can also take fiber. It's on this particular program. It's not highly encouraged, but you can take it in addition to this program. 5-HTP and L-glutamine are actually very important products to take, especially if you have a sugar craving or an addiction to caffeine or alcohol. You can take 50 to 100 milligrams of the 5-HTP. 5-HTP is the precursor to serotonin production, but serotonin is one of your neurotransmitters that helps stabilize your mood. But by increasing your production or by adding more 5-HTP, you'll be able to help stabilize your mood. And the L-glutamine really helps with the cravings. You can take up to 5 grams and stick that underneath your tongue, and that'll actually help you curb any cravings or addictions you might have. The other 2 products we'd recommend are the Core Cleanse. The Core Cleanse contains 3 specific herbs that really help improve your digestive system. The first one is milk thistle. Milk thistle actually has been scientifically proven to help clean out your liver. And if we can get your liver functioning more efficiently, you'll be able to burn more fat. The second one is the cranberry extract, which actually has been scientifically proven to help clean out your kidneys. And the last one is the senna extract, which that'll actually help clean out your gut. It's a natural laxative which will help flush any toxins or impurities out of your system. And then the last one is the core probiotic, or just a probiotic in general. And the reason we recommend that is as you're going through this detox, you're going to be eliminating healthy bacteria from your gut, and it's important to make sure that you're replenishing your body, your gut primarily with healthy bacteria. It contains over 10 different strands of healthy bacteria, and both of those products are fabulous, and they do, and everybody that's actually taken those products in the past has had tremendous results. But that is an overview of the 21-day detox. Now, you should have received the manual the recipes, and the meal plan templates. So if you have any questions, please go to our Facebook page. You can go to www.facebook.com/PGFit21 Day Detox, and please use that. Please use that as a resource. If you do have any questions, or if you've or not only if you have a question, but if you have any, please share what successes you're having. But if you do want that additional support, it's a great resource for you. We will be sending you emails over the next 21 days. I hope you will take time to read through them. We'll be sending them out early enough in the morning where it would be a good idea to read those before you start your day, just to make sure that you stay focused on the 21-day detox. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this webinar, and I hope you found it useful, and we look forward to talking to you on Facebook. Thank you.